Dead Rising is a new zombie action game from Capcom for the Xbox 360. And as most people probably know, Capcom is the maker of the Resident Evil series. The series in zombie killing. Like, that's all you've really had over the last several years is Resident Evil, this and that, whatever. The problem with the Resident Evil games, though, is that they're all about jump scares and mood and atmosphere and all that. Sometimes you just want to take a chainsaw to a zombie. Sometimes you just want hella zombies running around and you don't have to worry about, things jumping out of this or whatever, you just want to kill zombies. Well, that's what Dead Rising lets you do. Dead Rising is just a straight-up action-adventure game where there happen to be hundreds and almost thousands of zombies wandering around this giant shopping mall, a la George Romero's classic Dawn of the Dead film. You get to kill these zombies basically using everything that's in the mall. Everything is a weapon. You can just kind of murder these zombies mercilessly, just using anything. Just the most brutal, horrible, bloody, nasty, angry-looking weapons. Everything just busts apart and slices and dices, and it's bloody and it's horrible, and oh god, it's great. The basic setup for Dead Rising is that you are a freelance photojournalist named Frank, who sort of spent his life covering wars and atrocities and horror and all that fun stuff. You get a tip that there's something going down in this tiny little mountain town. Roads are blocked off by the military, no communications can kind of go in or out of the town, and that's super suspicious. So you think, well, this is a great opportunity for a story, so I'm gonna hire this helicopter dude, he's gonna fly me into the town, I'm gonna see what's going on. And then you get there and there's zombies. There are zombies everywhere. They are eating people, they are just knocking over buses, setting fires, blowing stuff up. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. It's great. Basically, you have 72 hours and you have to survive that amount of time. A lot of the game's story missions are sort of put on this timer that you have to be in a certain spot in the mall at a certain time, otherwise you lose the case, you're done. You don't get any more information, the story mode's over, you have to reboot from the last save. It's kind of an interesting structure in that, being on time is not necessarily, inherently a fun gameplay mechanic, but sort of have to progress the story at the natural pace to get to the 72-hour mark is cool, except for the fact that the save system is awful. The save system in this game is borderline broken, and it's punishing and mean-spirited, in that you only get one save in the entire game. There are very few autosaves anywhere in the game, and if you save yourself in a bad spot where you can't get to the next story mission in time, you're host, you're done, you have to start the game over again. There is an option to save the game and quit and start over with all of your previous abilities and, your level and all that stuff. So, you're a lot stronger than you were at the beginning of the game. Still, it pretty much sucks that that is even a problem, like that is something you would have to do. This isn't by itself, by and large, a game you will want to play over again naturally. You don't need this sort of artificial lengthening of the game to want to go back and do all this other stuff again and again and again. Save system caveat aside, the structuring of the game is pretty interesting, especially considering that the zombies in the game are almost incidental to the progression of the storyline. Like, they're more just there to sort of impede your progress as you go through these missions rather than being like a central focus of any of the specific missions. Most of the missions in the game revolve around the other people in the town that are still alive. There's a lot of weird interactions with people that aren't zombies, and most of the game is about people that aren't zombies. It's just that there are zombies there in the mall trying to stop you from interacting with the people that aren't zombies. So when you do kill zombies in the game, it's pretty much a riot at all times because there's so many just bizarre ways to kill zombies in the game. Like, of course, you get the usual guns and bladed weapons and whatever you can use to slice those zombies, and that's awesome by itself. But then there's also, blunt weapons and just potted plants and lead pipes and baseball bats and all sorts of stuff like that. And then it gets really weird because you get stuff like, you're throwing soda cans at them or CDs like ninja stars. It's not super effective, but it sort of knocks them back, it's kind of a neat thing. All the stores have a whole bunch of random weapons that you can just find at any given time. The actual feel of using the weapons in the game is awesome, and that, it's like the bigger weapons have this just real huge, like, just massive destruction feeling to them. Likewise, you got a little weapon, like something that just kind of does a little bit of damage, you'll see them react totally differently to that kind of thing. And all of that is made just a whole lot better by the audio of the game. Like, the Foley work in Dead Rising is probably some of the best you will hear in any game this year, because it's just like the sounds of each individual weapon just like, contacting with a zombie's body are so perfect, it is just delightful. So ultimately, Dead Rising really just is a great game. It manages to sort of scratch that kind of visceral itch that you just want in a zombie sort of action game, where you just want to cut the hell out of angry, nasty zombies. You want to do horrible things to zombies, and it lets you do so many different horrible things to zombies that it's impossible not to love on that level. It's got problems, but a lot of those problems are really overshadowed by just how silly and fun the game can be. And if all you really want is just an excuse to kill zombies in a huge variety of ways, and there's also a story and some plot and conspiracy and all that and whatever, that's actually pretty good too, cool. Dead Rising is very much the game for you.
Great!